Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, and of course, we have with us today Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks, our room. How are you? It's nice and sunny here in the United Kingdom. Seems like the winter's passed, although they do keep saying that there's going to be a cold snap coming, but it so far hasn't materialized.
Wow, that's great to hear weather like that. I know I'm going to be seeing you in a few short weeks, well, actually a month, and I
Mm.
hope I hope winter will be over by then. But if it's not, it's
Oh, yeah,
fine.
it will be. Yeah, no, it will be. It will be, and hopefully I'll be getting a car Tuesday. So
Oh my God.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, that sounds exciting. And it's the weather here has been a little insane. We've had those incredibly warm days followed by frigid cold days, and it's not enjoyable to experience that today. Yesterday was beautiful, but today is kind of an overcast, stormy day. So
Hmm.
I'm not enjoying the weather, but there is no snow. So there is that, and I'm grateful that I don't have to worry about snow. So other than that, I'm okay. And we have a bunch of people here. Tom Jr. Jackson is here this morning. Good morning, Tom.
Hello.
My collaborator and moderator and friend. Tom, I hope you are well today. Keely Chow is here today. Hello,
There
Keely
she
Chow.
is. Hello, lovely.
Roll Tide, lady. Roll Tide, Keely Chow. Hope you are well this Sunday morning, guys. And Tom Jr. Jackson talking about the BAFTAs. I don't think Lorena will be joining us for that, but I have it scheduled at 2. So we'll see how it goes if I can do it today, guys. I'm not entirely sure, but I will keep
The
my.
BAFTAs tonight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I did not know. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Oh, do you want to? Are you free at this afternoon or tonight?
Depends on what time I get back from boxing with Sam. I don't know because um I don't know if she has a one-to-one today or if she's fine. I don't know what's going on with Sam. Maybe.
Well, it's supposed to. I'm scheduled to do it at 2 o'clock, and I'm not even quite sure whether I can do, but I think I can, because we are going to end this broadcast early. Both Russ and I have things that we have to do today. Unfortunately, it's one of those Sundays where things have caught up with us, so we will probably end the stream early today. But of course, we are here for Sunday brunch as always. We will probably. What time is it? It's 11:45. We'll probably. I'm sorry, 10:45. Will probably end around 11:45. So or maybe sooner than that, because we both have to do a few things. But I am supposed to be doing the BAFTA Awards with Retro Nerd Girl today, everybody. Retro Nerd Girl is supposed to be joining me here at 2 p.m. Eastern for the BAFTAs, 11 a.m. Pacific. It's being streamed here in the US on a channel called BritBox. So
Hmm.
if you want to watch it on BritBox, you can. But I'm assuming, Rush, you can watch it on any channel where you are.
Yeah,
And it's
it'll be on the BBC. It'll be on the telly.
Exactly. So that's going to be fun tonight, as well as um, my watch party for The Last of Us episode 6 right here on Positive Fandom. And thanks so much, Tom. As always, guys, Tom Jr. Jackson has his own YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out, guys. And don't forget, I have a live watch party at 3 a.m. Eastern this week with Julian for Picard Season 3, Episode 2 live watch party on the Burr Network. And of course, Monday, I will always have my Ladies of the PGS show at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Hey, Darth Plato is here with us, Russ.
Oh, so way Darth Plato.
And we got John Ware Jr. as well. Good
Oh,
morning.
dude. Hello.
Hello, Bonzo Kilborn. How are you
Hey,
today?
Bonzo.
And we also have Stubble McShave with us. Stubble, how
How's it,
are you?
Stubble?
Stubble has been asking me about this incredible anime show called Vox Machina.
Mm,
They had the first season on Netflix, and now they have season number 2. And Stubble has been talking about how amazing Vox Machina is, and that I've got to check it out. So that is definitely one of them that I want to watch. In lieu of, I guess, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with Dungeons and Dragons, everybody, but all the craziness that's going on with Dungeons and Dragons, I think that premiere, which everybody was excited about, has just kind of turned around so very differently than what we could have imagined. So Vox Machina is about as close as Dungeons and Dragons as you can get, as far as I'm concerned. Have you ever watched it, Russ?
no, I haven't. But I wanted to ask, is this stuff about Wizards of the Coast still sort of rolling on? And do you think that that's going to affect the box office of the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
it will have an effect on the Dungeons and Dragons movie because it's the people who are playing things like Wizards of the Coast and these role playing games who would have gone to see Dungeons and Dragons, and so it's almost as if it's kind of a silent protest. I'm going to say silent protest.
Hmm.
I don't know whether there are hashtags saying to boycott it, or I don't know anything about that. What I do know is I'm not going to say who, but friends that I know who are role play gamers, tabletop gamers are talking about, they want to make a point in the wallet. They want
So, so Wizard of the Coast didn't climb down from this. They didn't revert back and say, "Oh, well, look, it was only a draft. It wasn't supposed to be leaked. Oh, how bad! No, this was something we were thinking about." Of course, we're not
um
doing that, or they're sticking to it.
it's hard to keep track because there's been a lot of back and forth with Hasbro trying to do damage control, at which they did very poorly. So I don't know the current status. Heath's Geekverse would know. Goodness gracious, Heath, if you stop by this morning, please let us know the status. He's the
Mm.
guy we need to go to ask this information because he knows all the details about everything that has to do with Wizards of the Coast, with Hasbro, with D&D licensing. He knows it all. He's pretty much the expert. So, Russ, I promise you, if Heath doesn't show up today, I will certainly hit up Heath and ask him what's going on, what the status is. But if you guys are even more curious, you can go to Heath's channel, Heath's Geekverse, and he has a lot of videos about this topic and where we are on that. So I'm sorry I can't answer you, Russ. It turned into somewhat of a complicated situation with the parties involved and how things were going to be handled. What I do know is is it called critical? What's Critical Role?
Hmm.
And a bunch of other major tabletop gaming groups have many of them, I think Critical Role decided to go independent, kind of step away from this entire Dungeons and Dragons rules, because it was the rules, not necessarily the logo that they were using for their content, let's say over the past 20 years. Since
I know. I just thought that it would have been resolved one way or the other by now. I'm quite surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, that they're doing a protest against this movie, which is kind of a shame because, yeah, hey, lug nuts.
Hello, Lugnuts says hello to that beautiful paradise. And the rock and roller, rockin' Russ. Oh man, I love it. And honestly, Lugnut6, I'm going to put that as my description from now on when people ask me who I am. I am the sensual, celestial enchantress of paradise, as you've said, Lugnuts. And of course, Russ is the madman of the morning, rockin' Russ. It is such a pleasure, Lugnuts, to have you here in the morning to put smiles on all of our faces. How did you know? Is my second question. Lugnuts, so good to see you this morning. Gary Bando Sandwich Worthington says hello on BAFTA Day. And
All
Gary,
right, Gal.
what time does it start in England, Gary? Is it 7? Because it starts here at 2. I'm
Yeah,
guessing it
I think
does.
it normally airs at about 9 o'clock, as far as
Oh,
I remember. But I haven't checked. But I'll try and watch it. I'll also try and get through to Vox Machina. You mentioned hashtags, of course. This week there was a hashtag campaign that went out and started trending, which was sell the Snyderverse to Netflix. I'm not sure how successful that particular campaign's going to be, but you got to love the Snyder Bros. They're not they're not giving up hope. And it was interesting because James Gunn sort of came out and said, because you've got to admire the Snyder Bros. Blind faith, right? James Gunn came out and said, yeah, this is like the weirdest hashtag I've ever seen, because there have been absolutely no conversations with Netflix about this. They haven't expressed any interest. We've been talking to them about other stuff. And then on all the Snyder groups go, well, clearly they don't know about this. So let's make sure that they do know about this. And this is something that we want. So the hashtag was trending. And although James Gunn released a statement saying, look, I've spoken to Zack Snyder. He's really happy doing what he's doing, and he's really supportive of everything we're doing. And the Snyder Bros are like, or Zachalites, which is my favorite one. Thank you, guys. The Zachalites are like, well, yeah, so why is he liking all of this sell the Snyderverse to Netflix stuff on Vera then? He's liking all of these posts, he's promoting it. So I don't know if he's just trolling WB at this stage, but as as I'm a member of some of these groups, um, but they're basically saying that they're not going to give up until Snyder himself turns around and says, you know, guys, you need to stop now. That seems to be the direction of travel for that. Um, and it brought me to thinking about the Flash and the trailer, the final trailer. It was so.
Did we talk about the Flash trailer yet, Russ?
No, we did not.
And you saw it, right?
Oh yeah. For me, it was. Oh god, it's like a knife in my heart seeing Ben Affleck there, knowing that he's going to be nixed at the end of the film, seeing the stuff from Flashpoint play out with Supergirl and not Superman, and you know, I it looks good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you know, it looks shit, it looks all rubbish and all the rest of it, but I wonder how good it's going to be because the word on the street, according to Huggy Bear, is that this is like, you know, like the sort of one of the greatest ever superhero movies. So what happens if it is? And what happens if it makes zillions of pounds and people are thirsting for, you know, what was gone before, and now you're going to say, oh no, well, we're getting rid of all of that, you know, and what's going to happen if it's a smash and Aquaman's a smash? Then what do we do?
I think there's room for everybody. I think that you can't make enough of one genre of especially of a Batman or a Superman. I think you can't make enough of those films. I think there's enough of a demand that there could be, you know, 3 a year, and people would just relish it up and eat it up and, you know, analyze it and enjoy it. I don't think you can oversaturate those characters. You know, in fact, it feels like we went in the opposite direction where we've completely forgotten, or it feels like for a while we'd forgotten about those characters. And we got the Batman last year. And even that was tough in a sense of the pressure that was put on poor Pattison being the star, being Batman in that. And I think he did a brilliant job. So, you know, I think that there's enough room for different interpretations of these characters. And as long as the fans want to see it, then they should make them. That's how I feel about it. Russ, when I saw this trailer for The Flash, Russ, I was blown away by it. I felt like it looked so cool. It looked cool, Russ. It looks like it's going to be a good film, and I wasn't expecting that. Even the part like where they look at the ring, Russ. I don't even know all the details. I'm not, you know, for all practical purposes, when it comes to the Flash, I'm practically like a normie. And, you know, I have to be honest with you, when he pulled out the ring, that really touched me, because I just felt like it was getting back to like this very basic thing, the idea that this ring was significant. And he puts on the ring, and then the ring kind of opens up, and I was like, this is so cool looking. I think that the costume is right. There's a lot of things that just fit and seem to look good in the trailer. There was a lot in that trailer, Russ, a lot of details that I wasn't expecting to see something so detailed as that. I wasn't expecting all of that information in a trailer for The Flash. Just didn't know I was going to be seeing all of that, and I was very surprised by what they were able to put into it. And you do have to kind of, I don't think you can kind of just jump into that film without having seen a bunch of other films. You have to know what's going on in order to understand, you know, what's going on. You can't have missed films and pick up in that Flash, trailer and understand the situation and who these players are, so to speak.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean the ring, that's from the Silver Age of comics. Like Barry Allen sort of invented that ring, so you know he could be himself, and then he had the ring which would open up, and his Flash suit would fly out of it, and he would, you know, jump into his Flash suit at super speed. So, and obviously this is riffing on the Flashpoint comic, so it seems to be they're sort of adhering to the law, if you like.
yes, Russ. And I have to be honest with you. I understand what you're saying completely. And hello, Norwegian Kryptonian. I stopped saying hello to
Hey,
everybody. But when I saw the ring, it felt there was something very, down to earth about it. Something that felt very, I can't even describe it. Seeing the ring in the trailer on his hand and then seeing it open up, I got like, it felt as if I was watching, like you could see children looking at this and going, wow, the ring that is what gives him his power or whatever it is. It looked very authentic, and I wasn't expecting to feel or have that reaction when he put on the ring and then it opened up. Like I literally had this strange reaction to it where I just thought this seems to fit okay. It didn't feel out of place. It didn't feel weird, like so many other things we've been seeing recently. So there was that, and that was for me, good to kind of see, considering how things have been going recently. I thought it was very interesting. And hello, Stavros. Hello, says, hey, all, let's get cooking. Good to see you too, Stavros. To make sure I say hello to everybody. Jamin D, how are you? And we also have, is that everybody? I believe that. Hey, Retro Nerd Girl. Yes,
there
Zach
she
Lights
is.
Unite. Absolutely, Retro Nerd Girl. Yes. And the other thing I was going to say, yeah, she's saying that the Flash trailer impressed her as well. I did want to say to Stubble, when you talked about Stephen Fry hosting the BAFTAs, I watched that BAFTA award ceremony, and I remember Stephen Fry had said that he was talking about an actor whose name escapes me, and he had mentioned he was an American actor, Italian actor, and he said something about how this actor never seems to give a bad performance. And I thought, Stephen Fry, just he's so eloquent with the way that he gives compliments to people. I thought that he was so incredibly charming as a host, a charming host, someone you'd want to have at a dinner party, someone who you want to spend time with. So here he says, I always thought that Fry and Laurie would have been a good double act. They had their sketch show in the 90s, maybe too old now. It wasn't so long ago, Stubble, that they were together on that Stephen Fry did that hosting. But yes. Did you like the trailer, Russ? Did you like the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, it's yes, I did. I'm not going to lie, but I'm conflicted about I'm conflicted about this whole thing, and what they're gonna do with it. I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks, but taking on its own merits, it looks really good. I'm not Camp Keaton. I just sort of think, well, yeah, it all feels a bit gimmicky to me, bringing him back. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, but why?
Mm-hmm.
If it was a one-off and everything was going to get back to as I would like it after Flashpoint, then I'd be all for it, because that would be like really, mega cool, seeing him like come out for one more outing. But you know, I just wonder where this is all leading, because a lot of people are saying that James Gunn and co are simply just they have to big these movies up. They have to big up Shazam. They have to big up the Flash, and they have to big up Aquaman. And then as soon as they're done, then they're going to close off that universe. And that honestly is my hope. That I wish that was the way it was going to come to pass. They're saying, oh yeah, no, it's excellent, and then it turns out that they are going to restart in 2025. I really hope that's what happens. But it's just a strange time. But let's talk about the yeah. But he was always going to say that, Tom, wasn't he? That's kind of the point. They gave us a lot of stuff in that trailer. um I think because they know that this film has to kind of do well. It has to do well. Um, so they're letting you know, oh look, don't worry, Ben's in it, and oh look, here's Michael Keaton, and he's Batman, and you're going to see all of this stuff, and it's going to be really cool. They've given a lot away. Look, there's General Zod. There's Feora. There's two Flashes. We've seen a lot from this trailer. They're laying it all out there. They're they're showing their wares for this movie. And it's difficult because, of course, Ezra Miller's got their problems, and um, okay, it seems to have gone a little bit quiet on that front. And I don't think that we might know all about it here in this little corner of the internet. But it's I mean, even if it was on CNN, it was on CNN last year or 2 years ago, whenever all this stuff was happening. People will have forgotten about all of that stuff by now. So yeah, they're really hoping it does well. What's Bonzo saying here? Speaking of Keaton, Tim Burton should do some of those Elseworld stories. His Batman vision to me is what a comic book movie should be. Surreal. Well, they do have the Batman '89 comic run going on, running concurrently with Superman '78, don't they? And Tim Burton was supposed to, or thought he was supposed to come back to do Batman 3. As Batman Forever, as it turned out to be. And it's like a famous story now. He was in the Warner Brothers office and he was pitching, his ideas, and he said halfway through my pitch, I just sort of realized, hang on a minute, this is feeling wrong. This is feeling wrong. And then he just turned around to the executives and said, "You don't want me to do this, do you?" And they're like, "No, no, 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 no." And he said, "No, it's fine. I don't want to do it. Fine, whatever." And off he went. And it was clear that they didn't want to go in the Tim Burton direction, which is ultimately proven to be a mistake. I think, with the way the other ones turned out. But yeah, a unique vision by Tim, very dark. But yeah, I don't know. Going back to the Flash trailer on its own merits was great. Supergirl looked great. It's weird seeing General Zod and all that, and they've given some really good details about the plot. Like Ben Affleck says, you could wreck everything, and then he turns out he has wrecked everything. Like there's no Superman to protect them anymore, and now they've got Supergirl, which weirdly was part of the Hamada plan, wasn't it? And yeah, the word on the street, according to Huggy Bear, as I said, is it's an excellent, excellent, excellent movie. But what if people don't turn out for it?
Oh my gosh, what a nightmare that would be.
Like you said, Aram, this is coming with a lot of baggage with it, a lot of history with it. You're going to kind of have to have known what's going on about it.
Yeah.
And here's one thing. This shot actually reminds me, and I'm gonna get not on my soapbox, maybe a little bit on my soapbox. Here's what pissed me off about this. All the critics going, "Oh yeah, wow, Supergirl's so amazing, it's so brilliant. Look how she kicks so much ass." The same people that were saying Henry Cavill Superman, Man of Steel, too violent. Superman wouldn't do that. Superman wouldn't do this. On good authority, Mr. H was talking about this, and Mr. H doesn't talk crap when it comes to spoilers and leaks and all that sort of thing. So if he's to be believed, and I do believe him, because he doesn't tend to talk about the spoilers and the leaks unless he's absolutely, unless it's confirmed to him that this is actually what happens. Apparently she's really, a bit of a psycho. Like she goes around killing loads of people and throwing people, and you see it in the trailer where she's attacking all the humans. If a Kryptonian hits a human like that, well, they're going to die. So here we are praising Sasha Calle Supergirl for being a violent psychopath, and yet we don't. And the same critics don't like Henry Cavill's Superman because he had to kill Zod to stop his rampage. And yeah, look, I'm bitter about all of this, as you can probably tell. But yeah, what if people don't turn out for it?
Yeah, it would be a disaster, Russ, if people don't turn out for it. And you guys had a lot of comments. I'm just going to go through some of them, some of those comments, at least some of them, not all of them, where Tom Jr. Jackson says he was excited when Keaton said the iconic line, "I am Batman." Bonzo Cooper says Jeeves and Wooster should return.
Wooster, that's an old show. Bertie.
Dark Plato says very mixed feelings about the Flash trailer.
Yeah,
and
you and me both, mate.
Stavros says the countdown for my Shazam movie started today. And we did mention Bonzo's comments about the Elseworld stories. Stavros mentions, I hope the post-credits we see Sandman's gods. Darth Plato says, Ich bin der Fledermausen. Mausman. I don't know what that means, but cool. Yeah, Bonzo
I
says,
am the field mouse.
Oh, Okay. Sasha, Bonza says Sasha Calla is no Henry Cavill. It's funny their last names are similar. Supergirl will be unleashed. I also saw someone saying something about how where is it? Um, oh, okay, maybe not. Yeah, this one. Ben is the only one from Zach that I have any feeling about one way or the other. Stavros says I send $3 billion from this. You know something? This trailer gave mixed reviews across the board. And you said, "What if nobody turns out for this?" G Dog is here. Hi, G Dog.
Hey,
How
G
are
Dog.
you? My concern is that. Oh, thank you, Gary. Thank you so much, Gary Bandersand, which says 7 p.m. UK. BBC One TV BAFTAs. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
that's 2 o'clock for you. Yeah.
okay, that's excellent. Something that I'm concerned about really is just that what they've put into it, you have to know what happened before. And so I remember the very first time I saw 1989 Batman, and you remember, Russ, it was a big deal. You
Yeah,
know,
the hype, you couldn't get away from it. It was the first movie I'd seen with that much hype, or certainly that I can remember, because I was, yeah, a young adult at the time, and it was everywhere. TV, radio, record shops, toy shops. You couldn't walk past the bus stop without seeing the Batman sign. They really pushed it. Um,
the Bat Dance. Remember the Bat
the
Dance?
bat dance, yeah, all of that, but it was massive. The advertising campaign behind that was huge. It was ubiquitous. It was everywhere all the time. So it was always going to be a hit because, of course, back in those days, we didn't have all the things we have now.
Yeah.
So they really made sure everybody knew about it.
And it was packed with a ton of villains. And so there was one, this is how I interpret it, one good guy packed with a bunch of villains, more or less. So
Hmm.
it's like this one good guy against all the villains in the metropolis, so to speak, or wherever he's supposed to be. But
Gotham.
um, it was great because it followed up with a bunch of other villains as well. But they felt very sort of more of a caricature of the characters, which was fine. It was phenomenal that it was even ever made, that someone decided, or at least a studio agreed to go through with it. But the fanfare around the music was huge, and I Michael Keaton appeared in this new trailer, it felt the same. Like I wasn't expecting that same feeling I had in 1989 to have that same feeling seeing Michael Keaton. And I got to tell you, and I know I've said this before, Russ, but Michael Keaton gives a good name to older men at 70. He's still got it, as I've been saying all along. Yeah, I've had to shift my age preferences over because of Michael Keaton, doing things that I didn't know was possible for a man in his 70s. So apparently, those things are possible for men in their 70s. And I think it's a good time. I think it's a great time to kind of have that there. He looks the same to me. I know he's not the same, but it still feels really good. Gary Bandersnatch-Worthington says he loves Vox Machina. And Stubble says many believe that Critical Role will create their own gaming system and move away from D&D. They have to, Stubble. They have to. They can't stay with D&D after this nonsense. And I think that it's going to force a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses that depended on this open gaming license to walk away and never, ever depend on an open gaming license ever again,
I
Russ.
think it's interesting, isn't it? Because if they do, let's do a parallel. Remember, we had our sort of Olympian Dungeons and Dragons game that you and I sort of started off, and we were using that analogy. Well, that I think that the problem with that is if Critical Role do that, and you and I do that with our Olympus game, and somebody else does that, it's going to be like the Blockbuster situation. Like in the early '80s, video shops were local. You go down the post, what do they call it in the mom and pop stores, they would call them in the States, but it was in the post office, or there might be like Paradise Video we had around the corner here in Ham and all that sort of thing. And then Blockbusters came along, which had the money and just chewed everything up. And I wonder if these people who are licensing this or unlicensing this product, if it all splinters, then you've got the big conglomerate with all the corporate money that will just gobble everything up. So I don't know if that's smart or if that isn't smart, a smart tactic. I think they should
Yeah.
maybe fight more to get them to roll this back, and then everybody wins. Because it is, and like I said when we first spoke about this, I can see it from Hasbro's point of view, but it seems like something they need to roll back on because it is just essentially naked greed, isn't it? Yeah, there
Yeah.
it is. This was upsetting.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Russ. I was just so surprised to see Zod. This was not what I was expecting to see. I wasn't expecting to see this. But then I immediately thought, gee, what if somebody's walking in there? They haven't seen the other films, which might be the majority of the audience seeing this film, might be people who've never seen the other films. We can't assume that they've seen films from, you know, almost 10 years ago. We can't assume that. We can't. So, you know, it could be a whole group of new fans who are in there who want to see this, you know, kind of enjoy this whole thing. And I have to ask myself the question, you know, aren't they going to be wondering where this character is from and who they are and the history and how this is even occurring? What's the timeline? You know, these are all things that oh, you Tom G. Jackson says, I really want to Supergirl. Okay, Tom. Okay. Um, and Dark Plato says 89 was a big release. I saw it opening night. I don't think I saw it opening night. I saw it opening weekend. So there is that. Norwegian Kryptonian says that the Keaton Batman movies haven't aged very well, while Reese's Superman has. Yeah, Norwegian Kryptonian, hi again. Yeah, Superman will always be good. Even the ones where people didn't care for the scripts or whatever. He just looks so good as Superman. I
He
don't
really
even
does.
yeah, I can't even pay attention to the background a lot of times because some of those posters, Russ, some of the shots that they chose are just perfect, Russ, absolutely perfect.
Mm. Yeah, he was really great. I mean, you know, this is what I've said all along about whatever, you know, with Henry Cavill and whatever they do with that going forward. They've always got him Superman right. They know what to do. They always go for an unknown and they always go for somebody that they are 100% sure can embody that role. So whoever they get to play this new Superman, you know, the smart money seems to be on this guy called David Cornswet, who played Superman in Peacemaker. He was the body double, but he might be too old. He's 30. You know, they're talking about someone who's in their mid 20s. But I pretty much guarantee you that whoever they get's going to be great. He will embody that because that, you know, Cavill was brilliant. Brandon Routh was brilliant. The what's his name? Tom Welling is great. Um, Tyler Hoechlin is great. You know, the only time I think they really missed it was Dean Cain, and I thought Dean Cain was brilliant as Clark Kent, but he didn't make such a great Superman.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dean Cain might have been just slightly off, but you know, considering I think they were just, I'm not quite sure what the pool of applicants was like. You know, when it comes to how they chose. And of course, you know, it is true that Reeves was chosen, what, 1970, Russ? It's 1970.
I think
Um,
1976 or 7 he would have been chosen, and the film came out in 1988. So let's say 1976. I think the script was written in 75.
yeah.
It was a huge script, and they had to. Everyone credits Mario Puzo, the writer of The Godfather, with that script. And it's true. Whilst it's true, he did write it. It was like a 400-page screenplay with Superman 1 and 2, and it had, you know, Kojak in it, and, you know, Hey Soups, Who Love Your Baby, and all that kind of thing. But it was actually Donna gave it to his friend Tom Mankiewicz, and Tom Mankiewicz did a total rewrite. So Puzo gets a lot of credit, but it was actually Mankiewicz that gave us this guy.
Is he related to Ben Mankiewicz?
Couldn't tell you.
Um, I'm guessing he might be because I know Ben Mankiewicz, who's on Turner Classic Movies, and is involved with the studios, always talks about his relative's role in the movies, but he doesn't really talk about superhero films. Maybe I could contact him and ask him about that, if it's the same Mankiewicz, but I don't know. But it would be pretty
I
cool.
don't even know if Tom Mankiewicz is still alive. I mean, Richard
No,
Donner
no, he
sadly
wouldn't be
passed.
alive. But on Turner Classic Movies, there's a guy by the name of Ben Mankiewicz who hosts the show, and his family. I know he comes from a family, a long line of people who are involved in cinema and movies. So I was just curious as to whether that was one of his progeny, but it's not the most important thing. I'll look it up. Somebody will look it up and let me know. But Darth Plato, yes, you're right about the advertisement. I couldn't find the poster, but even some of those posters, Russ and you and I are discussing this, of course,
Well,
with Chris.
Superman the movie didn't have any pictures of him on the poster. It
Mhm.
just had had the Superman S with a sort of blur, and it just said you'll believe that a man can fly. It was Superman 2 had the poster of him flying toward you like that, and you had the back of Zod, Ursa, and Non. But some of the publicity still to come out of this is one. This was used to get these on bubblegum cards when I was little. Bubblegum was disgusting, but the cards were great. Um, yeah, he was the quintessential Superman, but not the Superman of this era.
Yeah, that is very true. And so I don't know why I pulled up Christopher Reeve, but I was just thinking about him because Darth Vader was talking about these 80 movies advertisement, and it felt like he was kind of in that time period as well as the 70s. But Retro Nerd Girl talks about how Keaton looks great. I hope he will be used wisely in the film. Yeah, he does look good, doesn't he? Oh gosh, he looks good. Tom Jr. Jackson says, I saw Batman 89 in 1989, and I remember that I had a Joker t-shirt. I bought it that night, had a giant Jack Nicholson Jack Poker face that said, wait till they get a load of me. Good times, Tom Jr. Jackson. I was on a double date, Tom Jr. Jackson. They were like, we're gonna take you guys, we're gonna take you girls to see Batman. And it was kind of like, yeah, everybody's going to see this film. So this was not a shocker. And it was a great date. Like, we had fun that night. And so Tom says, I worked at a mom and pop video store that had a back room, which was about 14, maybe 15 years ago. And by then, a lot of video stores didn't have those back rooms. And I know the back room you're talking about, Tom.
Mm.
It had a curtain, and you would
Yeah,
go.
with the strings. It was always those street. No matter where in the world you were, it had the coloured sort of nylon strings, and you'd go through. It's weird though, like walking around Soho now, even today. There used to be loads of like private video stores. Of course, they've all gone. Nobody needs them anymore.
Yeah, it is too bad. And Tom says, I mean, I really want to see Supergirl. We know what you mean, Tom. We know what you mean. Retro Nurgle says, Zod is going to crush Supergirl, sadly. That girl is going to die. Yeah, I agree. She won't stand a chance. He's gonna, I could see him, he's like, who is this pestilence? Or whatever.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting because, the only reason why Cavill Superman was able to fight them was because Cavill grew up on Earth. He's used to his powers. He's used to everything, and he's that much stronger, which is why he's able to fight off, 3, 4, 5 of them at a time. Whereas we know that Sasha Calle's been in the, in the test tube place, the government place for so many years. I don't know, like I said, this film's got a lot to do. It has a lot of history, has a lot of people. I'm not one of them, by the way. I'll go see it, but it's got millions of people out there hoping it's shit and hoping it's going to fail. And if it's anything less than stellar, and this is the kind of toxic side of the Snyder Bros, if you like, they'll be out for it. They'll be review bombing it. They'll be saying it's the worst film in the world ever. We've spoken about this time and time again. Nixon Cavill was once again split the fan, but you had the fan base back together. You had us, James Gunn, and you just split the entire fan base. And what they've done is it's made some of the Snyder people even more radical than they were, before. I mean, especially on Reddit, like, look, it's the internet, and there's never any discussion or discourse, but there's lots and lots of people out there really gunning for this movie.
Yeah, it's a shame that that's even come up. It should just be, let's just roll with it. We're lucky to get anything at all. I know it may not be ideally what everybody wants, but you're lucky to get anything at all these days. It's just the truth.
Do you think so, RM? I was thinking about this when it come to the Flash, Shazam, and Aquaman. And what made me think about this was a recent superhero movie that just landed in the cinema to little fanfare, and that's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which I've
Oh
not
boy.
yet seen. I've not
Mhm,
yet seen. Right
mhm.
now, I have heard that reviews are split on this. You know, you've got some people saying it's the greatest film ever, and you've got some people saying it's garbage. Do you know what though? Bonzo here says Batman '89 is a classic that ain't never changing. Jack was iconic. I really hated his performance in that. I watched it. I watched those films like 4 or 5 years ago, and I just thought he was just playing himself, and I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. What were we saying? Oh yeah, Ant-Man. Oh sorry. Stavros says, Reese is the embodiment of Superman, while Batman is Christian Bale because of the mix of personalities. Ben was the best costume crusader. Yeah, I think it's a shame. You know, the one thing about Christian Bale was it was a really good performance. It was a shame that the sort of voice became off-putting. Like his choice with that was dumb. It was just a bad choice, and I even, and I'm not just saying that with the benefit of hindsight. I remember seeing it at the time. I thought Batman Begins is my favorite one. I think it's my favorite one. I think it's the best one. I don't get the hype around the second one. For me, that film is 40 minutes too long or 40 minutes too short. I don't know what. It's a very uneven film for me. But the voice just got out of hand, and it's been and it's been memed, right? So I thought they were great. But for me, yeah, I like the whole idea of the voice modulator with Ben Affleck and all of that stuff. But I think as far as Superman goes, I think all of those actors that have played him in the movie certainly have embodied him. I thought Brandon Routh did a brilliant job as Christopher Reeves. And look, everybody knows my favorite is Henry Cavill, even though I grew up with Christopher Reeves. So.
Yeah, absolutely, Russ. You make a lot of good points. Jamie D says that I hope they go with the 80s Supergirl route and bring that outfit back. This Superman looks knockoff. Interesting.
I don't think they'll go back to the miniskirt or the new 52 shorts or anything like that. I just think in today's climate, we'll get something similar. I can't imagine them going back to the top of the miniskirt. I just don't see it, mate. Maybe I hope I'm wrong, but.
And Retro Nurgle says it's not a fair fight. And of course, I'm assuming you're talking about Zod versus Supergirl, David versus Goliath. Really, absolutely. And Darth Plato remembers seeing Superman in the theater. It was such a big deal going to see any Superman movies in the theater. Of course, it's the only place you could go to see them. But Russ, I'm sure you remember this so well.
I saw it. My mum was sick of seeing it. I saw it so many times. Like, mummy, please, Superman, because I was so into it. I couldn't believe it because I got into comics when I was a little bit younger than when that. A year or two before. I remember the first comic I bought was a Hawkman comic in a shop on Kingsley Road in Hounslow. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. He is Ben Makowitz's cousin. Guys, I love TCM. I'm kind of like a self advertiser of Turner Classic Movies. As you know, my mother watches it, and now, of course, I watch that. It's on constantly in my house. And I would like to ask him about those movies. Maybe they don't own the rights or can't show them. I can't remember the last time I saw any kind of superhero movies or anything like that related to Turner Classics. They probably don't own the rights anymore. Who knows? But yes, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Dark Plato says, I remember that old gum movie cards product. I'd buy it for the cards, throw away the gum. Yeah, I remember those cards, and they were wrapped here in the US, they were wrapped in wax paper. For some of you, and the gum would be kind of powdery, that like put a powder.
Yeah, it's that pink stuff. Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah, it was good times, Russ. It's good times. Yeah, we had those Western saloon doors, Tom. Nice. Kneel before Zod. Kneel, says Darth Plato. I have to say it like that. Kneel before Zod. You know something, Tom? We're all hoping these films will do well. It is disturbing that anybody would be saying anything derogatory about these films, because eventually, if they keep doing poorly, there's going to be a situation where I think where we could have a problem financially with the studios. Bonzo says, all right, Russ, time to step outside.
Which is the line from Superman 2.
Yeah. Jack stole the movie for me. It was quite meh. I was quite meh about Keaton. Interesting. Okay, Darth Vader. And you know something, Russ? People have been talking about how in a lot of these films, some of the great actors are not being used appropriately, and or at least to their advantage. And an example of that would be, I think everybody, or those of you who have seen um, Thor: Love and Thunder, where we end up with Christian Bale as the God. Is it the God Killer?
God Killer, I think, or God Slayer, or something like that.
And it's not quite what we all hoped for from that character, the God Killer. I mean, it's not exactly what we thought we were going to be getting. Um, I in Quantumania, again, I think it's a good family film. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, but what I was saying was, it seems to have landed. But it's not a superhero landing, is it? I mean, it's not. It's not Batman '89. Like, nobody seems to be excited about it anymore. Even if you look around on the internet, like, it's not a huge thing. Oh yeah, it's come out. It's pretty good, or it's really rubbish, or it's whatever side you happen to fall down on. And I've said this before, and I just think Marvel should have stopped for a year or two after Endgame and just taken their break, because Marvel films, as you know, I think they're like McDonald's, right? I love them and I'll consume them all day long, and as soon as I've had it, I've forgotten all about it. But I remember the build up to Infinity War. I remember the build up to the Avengers, even, actually, and Endgame. I know I've got those completely out of order, but it was a thing, and I remember how excited we were about No Way Home coming out, and then, but that's kind of been about it. Like, No Way Home was the last one we really could get excited for, and these other films have dropped, like Doctor Strange, like Thor, and now this one, which is kicking off a new phase, and people are, oh yeah, Ant-Man. And that's what it feels like. Now, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it does really, really well. But it does beg the question: is the superhero train starting to run out of steam? Have all of the delays to the Flash and the turmoil at Warner Brothers, will that be ultimately, after 15 years of this now, as public interest starts to wane, is there anything we haven't seen before out of a superhero movie? How many people are going to care about the Flash? How many people are going to? I mean, people will go and see Jason Momoa, right? But how many people are going to care about the Flash? And I wonder if Shazam will do as well. I'll be interested to see. Of course, Ant-Man will make zillions and zillions and zillions and zillions of dollars, because all of those films do. But will it be the $1 billion that they want, they expect out of a Marvel movie? Because although these films are still incredibly profitable, the reception to these Marvel movies is getting worse. You've got the what I call the access media, the mainstream media, singing its praises, as of course they will, because it's probably got whatever they require a movie to have in it. But the general audience score seems to be going down, and the care factor seems to be less and less and less.
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, what does the chat think?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I kind of agree with a lot of this. Stavros mentioned. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Just
okay. So Stavros says Ant-Man 3 was far from bad. It did the family ordeal and plot correctly. They are all scientists, so them surviving makes sense in all scenarios. No more spoilers from me, and let's talk about. Yeah, I think it'd be a bit tight to do spoilers just yet, Stavros. In fact, I haven't seen it yet either.
I'm sorry about that. I apologize. My mother was. I just want to make sure she was walking in the right direction to where she had to go. She had to go to the bathroom, so I didn't want her to go to the living room. Sometimes she goes to the living room, and well, you can imagine her confusion. But okay.
Sounds like me on a Friday night.
What I was going to say to your answer, Russ, is yeah, it is quite an issue. I did see Ant-Man 3, and I kind of agree with Stavros. It's a family film. and that's all it was going to be. I think that's how it was advertised. I think a family can go see it. It's a fun event for a family night. Um, but it's not meant to be like um, any of those other films like Endgame or Civil War or anything like that. It's not that kind of a film. So, and that's okay. Like it is what it is. It's a fun family film. I think you can take your family to see it. I think you can have fun with it. It's a fun family film. So if you're thinking of hardcore kind of stuff, this is not the film. It's not hardcore. It felt very PG-13 to me, like the type of stuff that you honestly would see on Disney. That's what this felt like. Including the creatures, the cute creatures from the quantum realm. Some of them were absolutely adorable. So, how can I not smile at a cute little squiggly creature with tentacles? I mean, it's like tentacle baby, the popular collectibles, tentacle kitty, or everybody loves these cute little toys, and they look like
Sure,
toys.
and I think that that'd be fine if and if this was just a sort of 7 out of 10 run of the mill Marvel movie full of comedy, had Phase 4 amounted to something, had there been an event, because there needs to be an event at the end of a phase, and then you sort of kick off with a middling movie afterwards. But Marvel has just been a little bit flat lately. It just has. Multiverse of Madness brought in all of those characters that everybody wanted to see, and nobody really seemed to care. What's the guy's name? Jack Ryan. He was the Mr. Fantastic, wasn't he? Can't remember the actor's name now. But people have been clamoring for him, and people got to see Patrick Stewart and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it made money, but it didn't. The cultural impact of Marvel seems to be less and less and less.
Well, considering it took them, what did it take them? 10 years to get to a point where it was, a movie that everybody was dying to see, to, let's say films that are kind of, I'm not going to call it a B film. I'd say B plus.
Mm.
I think Thor: Love and Thunder maybe was a B film.
C minus.
Yeah, well, how would you call, for me, that's what it was, a B film, and the same for the Doctor Strange Part 2, a B film, certainly not their best film, not in the realm of what they've done before. So we're not, it's, for me, it's not the same impact, but maybe they're not able to make those films where they're on their A game, so to speak, anymore. I think that
I just don't. I don't agree, RM. I think these people are getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to create groundbreaking entertainment, and they're just not doing it, as Darth Plato points out here. And this is like an ongoing issue. And actually, Ozo talks about it a couple of threads afterwards there, where he says Marvel seems absolutely opposed to taking any risks in their storytelling. If they would allow for some creativity, they wouldn't need a big break. It could just be, yeah, exactly. So as it gets more and more corporatized, it becomes more and more risk averse. It doesn't want to take any chances. It wants to repeat what it did before, and then what you get is, what is it? What's the returns? Depreciating returns. I forget what the phrase is now, but yeah, you're going to get less and less.
Yeah, I agree. Tom Jr. Jackson talks about the characters from the quantum realm in their own show. He loved those characters. They were so adorable. And Darth Plato makes a good point here. Quantum realm is MCU's Fraggle Rock. And I would say yes. I would say, yeah, it was, they were cute. And there was one scene that was hard to watch, not because of how devastating and what was at stake, but just what was done in the scene. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. He's too cute and cuddly. Don't do that. Don't do, but but this is what was happening in the film. And there was one scene that I really liked. It was at the end. Anybody who knows me, and it was very scientific, and I kind of like that part, but it doesn't matter now. It did feel like, as I said, PG-13. It's going to be fun. People are going to remember it as a very fun film. I wasn't offended by anything in it. I wasn't kind of disappointed in it the way I was disappointed in Thor: Love and Thunder. It there was nothing inappropriate in it. It was, so there was that that
Oh,
was good.
it sounds like it's just McDonald's. It just sounds like, yeah, that was great, loved it. Where are we going? That's what it sounds like to me. From what you're saying, it's like, yeah, great, loved
I
it.
didn't love
Brilliant.
that film.
Yeah, all right, it was great. It was fine. Ant-Man is great and fine. And this is what I fear, because look, everyone who knows me knows that I don't really take it or leave it with Marvel. I'm fine with it. I'm not fine with it. I couldn't care less. But I'm a huge DC, and I worry that this is the trap that Warner Brothers. This is the message that they've taken from all of this: is the more mature, darker stuff doesn't work. We're just going to copy Marvel note for note. And this is my big fear when they talk about a hopeful Superman. I think we're just going to get the Mario Puzo version of Superman, if you like. I think it's. I don't think, because how would I know? I worry this is the route that they're going to go down. As we know, I liked what Snyder was doing, but even if we take that out, if they go down a slightly darker, more mature route, they're offering you something different. Those early DC movies were different. They're interesting. We're still, I've said so many times, we're still talking about fucking Man of Steel, and it's 2023. It's 10 years after that film came out. And you go onto Reddit, and every day there's people slagging it off or defending it and arguing about it and fighting. Nobody's talking about Civil War or Iron Man or whatever, but they were different. They were distinct. I wish they'd have stuck with it. This now seems to be just like yet another in the conveyor belt of Marvel movies, and that's fine. As I say, it's McDonald's, it's great and lovely. But if DC now finish with the Flash or Aquaman or whatever one is going to be the last one, and then they just start mimicking Marvel, once again they're playing catch up, and once again they've missed the boat. That's what I think.
Well, I'm not. The reason why I have the opinion I have about this particular film is mainly because the trailer itself, the trailer did not indicate to me that we were going to get anything different than what they produced. I saw the Ant-Man Quantumania trailer, and
I'm sorry to interrupt. Jamin says I'm lagging. Am I lagging for anybody else?
yes, you are lagging a bit. Yes.
Okay, it's probably my internet is gone a bit crap.
Yeah, but I can still hear you. So that's good. Yeah, and something, I hope Tom G. Jackson, we hope Ant-Man does well. I hope, let's say over the next few weeks, it can get to maybe the 800 million realm. That's great. Very happy for it. Certainly good. It's good that it would make money. This is certainly that. I think the way that Ant-Man Quantumania was advertised was as if it was a show for families, PG-13 kind of thing. And I think that this character, that the baddie that's in it, Kang, is a PG-13 version of that, Russ. So there may have been a lot of fans who wanted to see a different version of Kang, and it's not in this film. Maybe they'll bring him, differently in another one, but it was very different here. Stubble says, I know I don't speak for everyone, but I would gladly give up all superhero movies to get back to the original mid-level movies of high quality that we used to get in the 90s. Interesting.
I'm not. I think Stubble. I apologize if I'm lagging. So let me know if I am, and I'll shut up. But as to what Stubble was saying, I think because we're coming to the sort of back end of 15 years of this now of superhero movies, I can't help but look back and bitter. And I am, I'm Captain Bitter about the Snyderverse and all that sort of thing. Fucking hell, I still got it. I still have those movies that I love so much. And I have the extended cut of BVS, which they repaired. And I have Zack Snyder's, I have those movies. And if you're a Marvel fan, I mean, you've been living the dream. And so, no, I don't think I would. And I wonder if these films start to peter out in terms of cost versus return, which it seems like they're doing, the superhero thing will come to an end. But No, I wouldn't swap it. Those three films are just, they just get me right here, man.
Well, Nathan says Russ does the mic drop by saying that these people get paid millions of dollars to create groundbreaking entertainment, and they are not doing it. Russ drops truth bombs.
I'm not sure about that. Well, thank you, Nathan, for that observation. But it was really more about what Darth Plato and Bonsai was saying, beforehand, in that they're so risk averse. They can't do anything edgy. They're not, and it's not the writers really. It's what they're told to write. I need a film about ninjas versus Mongols and aliens. Okay, great. Well, I'll go write that then. It's the constraints that they're under now, almost in weird culture war environment that they have they themselves have perpetuated, and now they're becoming victims of it, because now they can't do anything different, because if they do step out of their box and try and do something edgy, or not even edgy, if they have a person that looks like me and of my age being a mentor to another character who's female, then that's not allowed. You can't have male mentors anymore. You can't have this, you can't have that, you can't say this, you can't do that. Oh, that'll be offensive. This is be offensive. We have to have this many people, and we have to have that many boxes ticked. And all of a sudden, you're in this world where all of our films look the same. It doesn't matter how many special effects we throw at them. It doesn't matter how many brilliant actors we put in the film. They're all kind of the same because we put ourselves in this box. Maybe that's the problem that we got ourselves into. And if you go back to 2014, Superman and all this, Man of Steel and all that, it wasn't in that box. It was different. Oh no, we don't like it when we like Marvel. Well, there you got a world ruled by corporatized entertainment that's all the same, and we're not happy with that either. Who knows?
You make a good point, and all of you actually make a lot of good points here. And so what I was going to say is it's about an hour and we have to end the stream. We don't want to end it early, but we both, Russ and I, do have to do something very important today. And I hate ending streams early. We started later. It wasn't the full 2 hours that we normally go for. But
well, I say what are do you want to catch up with the chats, answer those, and then call it quits, or do you have to go like now?
Sure. This is I think we have a few more here. Retro Nerd Girl says, I fear that Superman will be the butt of everyone's jokes in the new DC movies.
Right?
Yeah, that's scary.
Right, because everybody has said, this is what everyone jumps on this bandwagon. Do you really want Christopher Reeve's Superman back? Is that what you want? Because that's what people have been saying. We want it just like that. You had that with Brandon Routh and you didn't like it. You chewed it up and you spat it out. Now we're in a post-Snyderverse world, a post-Endgame world. And everyone's going, oh, no, we want a hopeful Superman. That's what you're going to get. And everyone's going to go, it's boring. He's cheesy. No one would ever act like that. No one. You can see it happening. Now, James Gunn's a talented guy, but as I've said here on this one before, I hope it's the greatest Superman film ever. I was anti-Man of Steel before I went in to see it. It changed my life. I hope that they smash it out of the park. But the pressure is on to deliver the quintessential 4-quadrant superhero movie that satisfies everybody. And I don't think they're going to do it. So you could be right there, Retro.
Yeah, it's something to think about for sure. And continuing on, Stopper says, I didn't feel like a repeat entrance from Thanos' first appearance. It didn't feel. Yeah, because I think some people were comparing Kang to Thanos, and I'm like, it doesn't feel the same for me.
Because of the no anticipation, is there? This is kind of been the theme of this particular stream. They're coming so fast. Were you sitting there going, oh God, I just can't wait for Ant-Man to come out. Oh my God, let's get to. There isn't that. Whereas everyone was like that for No Way Home, and everyone was like that for Endgame. So yeah, it doesn't have the weight of the previous ones.
It doesn't. And Darth Plato says it's a human trait. People tend to be practical. America is particularly known for pragmatism.
It's very true.
And let's see what we have here. We also have oh, Bonzo Kilborn says, have a great week. And Stoffer says,
Thanks, Bonzo.
certainly, yes. Jamin D says, I agree. Bring those back. Hollywood's just going to ruin them if they bring them back. So keep them where they were.
You're referring to the mid-budget movies that was it Stubble or Norwegian was saying? One of them was saying that I would give up superheroes if I could have those back, and I'm like, no, I like what we got, but now it's gone a bit crap.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Nathan says, I think there are a lot of risks, but the critical minority hates it on it on social media. They seem to hate on everything there. I don't know why. Retro Nerd Girl says they aren't making movies for the ages. They're chasing profits. $1 billion unicorn. Very
That's
true.
what did for Zack Snyder. That's what did for that universe. Was nothing to do. If they, oh God, I wish they'd stuck with it, but it's because they wanted their bonuses and they wanted that film to make $1 billion. Like I said so many times, he wasn't going to do BVS. He was going to do Superman 2. But no, we have to have $1 billion. Marvel made $1 billion, and now you can see the results of it.
And Stubble says, no, I want movies like Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Stargate, Truman Show, and other quality movies, which are now diluted into 10-episode TV series. Very profound, Stubble. And I agree with you. I would rather have the movies rather than the series. There have been series, and Russ, you and I were just talking about, there's a series that I was very eager to see and is out now, but no one's talking about it because it's not making an impact. It's not as amazing as House of the Dragon was, where I was talking about that show incessantly and which scenes I liked and how cool it was. And I'm not saying anything like that about a show that I should have loved, which is The Last of Us. It doesn't have the same impact on me as House of the Dragon has. So I think it's very interesting that, as you said, Russ, it's not in the narrative anymore. No one, I haven't heard anyone really boast about it. The only thing they boasted about was that episode, which seemed very misplaced in the series. It didn't have any relevance to this story. So it was
very not in the zeitgeist, is it? I mean, you'd think something like The Last of Us, which now, as I always say, I'm not a gamer. I don't understand. It's not in my culture window, if you like. But even I know what happens in The Last of Us. Even I know how huge of a game it was, right? But again, if you look at the entertainment channels, yeah, Last of Us came out. Will it be woke? No, it's not woke. Oh, fuck it, we don't want to talk about it then. And I've been keeping up to date with it, believe it or not, because I remember I would never have, maybe I would have watched it. I just watched the one episode with Henry and Sam. Fucking blew me away. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Again, it was brilliant. How I just love how everybody isn't evil. Even the people that were in charge of Kansas City, that woman who appears to be evil, no, she's just got her point of view. She's just got her perspective, and everyone's got their perspective. And I really, really loved it. I didn't know what the big monster thing guy was at the end. I'm sure if I was a gamer, I would know that he's got a special name and he's probably a boss at the end of the level or whatever. But I'm liking it. But Last of Us seems to be a bit of an Andor. Brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, brilliantly paced, brilliantly done. Yeah, no one's really talking about it. I don't know.
No one's talking about it because the show is not having the same impact that the video game had, and that's why they're not talking about it. In fact, I would go so far as to say that there is a chance that the legacy of the game, they want the show to kind of overshadow that. They want to be remembered for this HBO Max show and not for the video game. That's what I suspect. And I'm only saying that because I keep hearing the developers say things that, for example, where they said, we should have thought about that when we made the game in the first, when we made the game in what did they make it in 2010? And then it was released in 2013 or something like that. I mean, they're not proud of their original game, that they feel that they should have made modifications somehow. The game was practically perfect, and yet they still feel that this television show is correcting or improving upon something that was almost perfection, you can't improve upon it. It was one of the most flawless games ever, the best game I have ever played, and I've played a lot of games. So I'm trying to figure out why they would feel that they have to backtrack on something that was the highest level of gaming perfection for me and for many people, one of the most popular games in the world. Now you're saying we should have thought about, why didn't we think of that when we were developing the game? You didn't think about it because you didn't have to, because the game was already perfect. But now you're backtracking, saying that it wasn't perfect, it wasn't good enough. What are you saying about your own work? Are you even proud of your game anymore? So it makes me wonder whether they are not proud of the game and they feel that they should have done things differently. And, I almost have to wonder about that, because, no one is really enthralled, honestly, Russ. The people who played the first game, let's say, looking at this series, it's not bad. It reminds me very much of Quantumania, a Quantumania version of The Last of Us, if you will. It's not quite okay for families, but I think The Walking Dead and House of the Dragon, which are not family friendly shows, were more realistic interpretation of that genre than The Last of Us has been of its own genre. So that's how I look at it. I'm still going to watch it. Of course, I'm doing live watch parties of it. But now that we're so far into it, that episode where they wanted to have a love story in it, that really wasn't in the original series in that manner. Sure, the couple was there, but we didn't have an entire hour and a half devoted to them. And it does make a difference. Those things will make a difference in a story, Russ. It changes how the story is seen. And, they could have done some things in it that made it feel like The Last of Us for me, but, it was a nice love story. It was great. But, that was, in fact, that episode, there were a lot of articles about that episode and how much it was good. It was a good episode. Was it The Last of Us? I don't know. What do you want people to remember about The Last of Us? They want you to remember that episode. That's the one that they feel they want you to remember. I remember killing a lot of clickers in The Last of Us. I remember Ellie and Joel having a very good relationship in The Last of Us. Those are the two take-home things that I remember in The Last of Us. Those are the things I remember. And, that's what made me want to play the game 4 times, which I did. So for me, that's how I'm looking at it. However, Russ, the version of The Last of Us they put out might be very appealing to the general populace. This might be a TV series that would sweep everybody. However, I'm not quite sure whether that's true, because people would be talking about it. As you brought it to my attention, Russ, it's not in
They're
the
not talking about it online, are they? I saw somebody in the chat, and it's got kind of past me. Everyone's talking about it. They're not talking about it in our corner of YouTube. And I also saw Tom Jr. Jackson say a little while ago that he hates the term, is it woke? Why I say that is because no, it isn't, but nor is it pandering. So it doesn't, The Last of Us as a show doesn't seem to have those division lines drawn into it in the way that a Velma does, where it's clearly coming down on one side, which means certain YouTube channels are going to hate it and certain YouTube channels are going to love it, and that discourse will keep going on for each week, like it did with She-Hulk, for example. Last of Us doesn't, maybe we know that Druckmann has his agenda, but it doesn't seem to be in the show. Even the one episode you're talking about, which was about that, 2 guys in a relationship, it was beautifully done. It brought tears to my eye.
But it's not.
So yeah,
it's not. It's not The Last of Us.
Well, nor is Resident Evil. Resident Evil isn't Resident Evil, is it? But I love it, but gamers hate it.
And so, while if that's going to be the case, I don't think anybody could hate The Last of Us show, because it's a nice show. And like I said, it's probably appealing to the masses. But yeah, Nathan says everyone is talking about The Last of Us. I hear you, Nathan. Sadly, it's not what I would call in line with the game, because the terror aspects of it is not the focus. And so, since it's a survival horror game, they didn't want to make a survival horror show. I think that's what they decided early on, that it wasn't going to be a survival horror show. And a survival horror show isn't the easiest thing to sell, And I think the reason why they decided to stay away from more survival horror is because the interest in The Walking Dead has waned so much that if they focused more on survival horror, it may not have been as successful, because when The Walking Dead came out, it was shocking. Like, it was a shocking show. You remember, Russ, right?
I never watched it. I watched the first couple of episodes, and then life happened. But I've heard it was really good, and then it went not so good.
Well, I think that after a while, that survival horror aspect is not going to be appealing to everybody. It just isn't.
Well, how
It,
long can you keep it going? I mean, this is the point. You know, um, often with these successful shows, they tend to go on a little bit too long. Even Battlestar Galactica, which everybody heralds as the best, I think it went on a season too long. It should have just had the 4 seasons. And I think The Walking Dead's been going like 13 years now or something like that, hasn't it? A long time anyway.
yeah, absolutely. Chronicle says afternoon all. Well, hello,
Hello.
Chronicles. And of course, Nathan, what we're talking about is that it's not getting the excitement that we saw with House of the Dragon, which was incredibly exciting, with so many people who couldn't stop talking about it. The Last of Us does not have that type of reaction with people. And it's not supposed to, because this is the show that they've produced, and they wanted to have kind of a mellow feel. I think they wanted to be mellow. I think that they didn't want that full tension to be in throughout the entire show, because it waxes and wanes, Russ.
Mm.
From, when you think, it waxes and wanes a lot. So they wanted it to be more of a midline sort of show, and that's what they did. This is what I'm seeing from here. Um, so there is that. But
Hmm.
and I think that's why, Russ, we're not seeing that House of the Dragon reaction that we had. How excited people were. It's a
Yeah, I was.
completely different reaction to The Last of Us versus House of the Dragon, which it just was overwhelmingly popular there. So there is that, and it's on the same station. So certainly, I think that even the writing, even though I know Druckmann tried his best to do a lot of this stuff, I don't feel like this is his best effort. However, it may be appealing to a wider audience because it doesn't have that.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. Chronicles, in answer to your question, Lion of Macedon and The Dark Prince are my favourite ones.
Ah.
But I think we should sort of wrap it up now, RM, do you think?
Yes. Yes. Oh yes, Subble. I loved it. So that's what I thought of the first episode of Picard season 3.
Not
Um
interested is my one sentence answer to that.
so and let's see. Oh yes, Bodyline or Sports, Cobra. Guys, we are gonna wrap it up. Oh, Chronicles also liked it. Good for you, Chronicles. So glad you liked it. Starting to care about the two main characters. We're more than halfway through the episodes. And yeah, the writing could have been a lot better. I think that they didn't do as good of a job as they could have, especially when after playing that game. Darth Plato liked Picard episode for the most part. I didn't like Titan and Shaw. Okay, fair enough. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, I do that all the time, Nathan. I've made a few walkthrough videos as well, Nathan, right here on Positive Fandom. But you guys don't have my walkthroughs for The Last of Us because that was on another channel, guys. So definitely, Nathan. I love walkthroughs. I hope you do too. RRM is correct, but Walking Dead fell off. Yeah, it did fall off, didn't it? All right, so this is the last few, Russ. House of the Dragon held on the Tales of Game of Thrones, which was global phenomenon. It's not to par. No, it's not. It's not to par with Game of Thrones. That is for sure, especially when it comes to sex and nudity. So I will say that. And
Watch
also,
Spartacus. Watch Spartacus. You'll get your fill of all of that stuff. I promise you.
Game of Thrones, I don't know whether it's true. Maybe somebody out there has a statistic, but every time I watch Game of Thrones, I was surprised at how many people were in this series. Russ, I was talking to you about this the other day. The cast must have been enormous. I've never seen a show with that amount of cast people in it, and it really made it feel incredibly real to me, because I felt like you were going to these different lands and there were different people, and you really got that a sense there, even with the disappointment of the ending. Boy, the casting agents really earned their money in House in Game of Thrones. Stubble says, I think there was more speculation in the fandom for House of the Dragon because it had more intrigue. Oh, okay. The Spartan series stories. Okay. Yes, guys, we're going to, Russ and I are going to be reviewing the Spartan series. It's Spartacus series.
Yeah, Chronicles was talking about the David Gilmour's book, but yes, no, we will do. We have to do Spartacus. It's awesome.
And Dark Plato says House of the Dragon may be in Westeros, but it's different from Game. Yeah, it is different. It's absolutely, certainly, that is true. And of course, I don't know whether there'll ever be another Game of Thrones. I also have to put that out there. I don't know if we'll ever get something like that ever again. But it was great when we had it. So Russ, where can people find you?
Usually here, or you can drop me a line at contact@russellwhitfield.com, or sometimes on the network if I'm invited to do a movie chat. You were very gracious and invited me to talk about Rocky the other day, which I'm a super fan. I love Rocky. I love boxing, so that was great. But more importantly, where can people find you, RM?
Well, everybody, you can find me right here on Positive Fandom, where I do all the Parley and the Fandom every Sunday at 10:30. Of course, we started a little later today, but yes, on the Sunday brunch show. I am doing live walkthroughs of Hogwarts Legacy every single day here on this channel. On 2 o'clock today, I believe I'm going to be doing a BAFTA review with Retro Nerd Girl. And at 9:30 today, I should be doing The Last of Us watch party for the next episode right here on Positive Fandom. You can also catch me on Mondays on the Burnett Work, where I am also part of the Burnett Work, guys. Just so you know, I am an employee of the Burnett Work, and I will be doing my Ladies of the PGS show on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern with Lorraine Creole. But you can also find me doing my PGS Moving Image show on Fridays, either at anywhere from 3 to 5, depending upon who's on the show and that block. And I also do Midnight Musings with Robert as well. We got some new shows coming up on the Burnett Work. Catherine Cook will be doing a series of 12 episodes to start off with. I don't know the name of the show, Catherine's Corner, something like that. So be on the lookout for that. Russ and I are going to be doing Creators on Creators as well, another show on the Burnett Work. And we have watch parties and many, many more things to come, guys. So please also check out the Burnett Work there as well. I hope you all are well. Tom Jr. Jackson, my moderator and corroborator. Yeah, why not? Let's do it, Russ. Let's do Strike Back. Let's do it.
Don't say it's the end of the stream. Don't get me started on Strike Back. One last word from me. Hey, Big Joe, missed you, man. Catch it in a rerun, and hopefully we'll see you next Sunday, Big Joe.
Yeah, Joe Tyson. Good to see you, Joe Tyson. Such a pleasure as always. Retro Nerd Girl, I'll be seeing you soon. Have a great week. And Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you so much. Yes, the Rocky show is live on the Burnett Work. Now we did a live show on Friday. You guys can watch the replay. It's an excellent show on PGS Moving Image. We got so much more coming up, guys. I guess we'll do Strike Back too, Jamin D. And of course, guys, yes, Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you for being such a great moderator, collaborator, and friend. Tom Jr. Jackson also has his own channel, so do check that out as well. And for everybody, no matter where you are in the galaxy, thank you everybody for sharing your views, especially the different views. I love that. Thank you so much for doing that. It makes the show so much more relevant when we have differing opinions, guys. And I know that we all are not going to have the same one. So it makes it certainly more interesting. So glad you all are here to share. And always remember, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye now.